After this lesson, you will know what Gemba walking means, characteristics of a good Gemba walker, who should be involved, use of drama to make a point, techniques of how to and how not to, types of Gemba walks.
In this training session, we will discuss much more in depth how to actually conduct a Gemba walk, the do's and don'ts of conducting a Gemba walk, and how a Gemba walk can and should promote leadership within your organization. I'll also show you some different techniques, including some very interesting techniques like the Ono Circle, named after Taiichi Ono, and the Walk of Shame, and something I like to call the Gemba Sit. Now, what does Gemba walking actually mean? Well, Gemba means the actual place. That's the most popular term that we all use. The more formal definition, though, is Genshi Genbutsu. Genshi meaning actual location, Genbutsu meaning actual materials or products, and when you combine it together to form Genshi Genbutsu, it means go to the place to see the actual situation for understanding. In other words, we should take nothing for granted. We don't want to rely on reports and data and information from others. We need to go out there and see. We need to see what has actually happened. And this includes all levels of management, including the very highest levels of management. Now again, that definition, go to the place to see the actual situation for understanding. Doesn't that sound a lot like internal quality auditing? It does. It's almost the same definition. The focus is a bit different. In auditing, you're looking for compliance. In Gemba walking, you're looking for waste. So throughout this video, we're going to stick with the term Gemba from here on out. Now, what is the purpose of doing a Gemba walk? Well, number one, first and foremost, is to teach. And you never want to waste any opportunity to teach others about waste, about seeing the waste, and the negative effects that it could have on the organization. Also, you want to challenge the knowledge of those who should know what's going on. It's that whole expected results versus actual results thing. In other words, the expected results is that people in management, all the way to the top, should have perfect knowledge of the process and what's going on at that time. The gap between their actual knowledge and their expected knowledge, knowing everything, is what a Gemba walker should point out and make very clear and make very visible. Now also, the purpose of Gemba walking is to promote leadership and develop leaders from within the organization by teaching, mentoring, coaching, and especially challenging. And finally, Gemba walking is for the purpose of process improvement. Through seeing waste and showing the waste and feeling the pain that the waste creates. But it all starts at the top. The highest level of leadership needs to be actively involved in doing the Gemba. Now, some of those qualifications or characteristics of a Gemba walker includes being very persistent, being extremely inquisitive, and asking lots of questions, a mentoring attitude, teaching, coaching, yet at the same time being humble and open to different ideas. A person who's very system-oriented and process-focused, not department-focused. Sometimes a good Gemba walker can be a little dramatic to prove a point, to make a point very clear. We'll talk more about that later. A good Gemba walker is tenaciously challenging of all people who are involved. They're unabashed, which means that they're boldly certain of their own position. They're forthright, they get straight to the point. They're truthful. This is very important. They're truthful, as if they're not a member of the organization. The most truthful people are the outsiders of the organization, because that's what they get paid to do. You want those types of people even internally. And finally, another characteristic of a Gemba walker is to be Socratic. Now, what is Socratic? What is the Socratic method? Well, of course, it's named after the classical Greek philosopher Socrates. And it is a form of inquiry between individuals with opposing viewpoints based on asking and answering questions. And the whole purpose is to stimulate critical thinking and to generate ideas that come out of the critical thinking. That's what we're trying to do. We want that Socratic method. We want the two people engaged in discussions. The Socratic method is a dialectical method, which means that it often involves an oppositional discussion in which the defense of one point of view is pitted against the defense of another. So let's say there's two Gemba walkers, and they notice a posting up on a wall that the change over time of a machine is averaging over an hour. And someone takes the point of view that says, I think it should be less than 10 minutes. That's been my experience. And then they discuss back and forth the pros and cons of doing so. Or perhaps they walk into a work cell and there's 5 people working there. And one person said, well, why can't we get the same output with just 2 people? And they discuss that. And the whole purpose is to challenge, but to seek and gain the real truth of that particular situation. It is not a debate. Debaters are committed to their point of view, and they're set out to win the debate at all costs. In other words, a Gemba walker is not a debater, like we'll see in this scene.